What are you doing? Why are you playing music? Don't you see this crazy nightmare world that we're living in? Look at the sky, it's orange, and there's fucking parademons flying around. And is that the Joker that we're hanging out with? Why are we hanging out with the Joker?
Because only Jared Leto would show up in your nightmare.
Oh my god, I just woke back up in my room. It was all a terrible dream. I wonder if it's a portent of things to come. There's no way the Snyder Cut could be that bad. In my dream. Gotta...
Well, I have something very troubling to tell you.
Hey, we're back for another episode of Vertigo Voices.
Hello, hello.
Despite that hilarious opening skit there, we are not actually in studio today. I am sitting on a sunny beach in Hawaii, while Sophia is back in Washington.
And it's cold, and I'm very jealous. And, but here we are, because we care.
Through the magic of technology, it sounds like we're in the same room.
Isn't it crazy?
It even sounds like we're talking over each other in the same room, but we're not.
See, we do a better job of editing than the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, okay, I hope you survived our first hour of dissecting the Snyder Cut, because we're back for more. Amazingly, there's still more to say about this. Well, I mean, that's debatable. I don't really know that there is much more to say about this, but we're going to get through it anyway.
We are. I know I use a lot of food metaphors, but it's true. The Snyder Cut really is like those disgusting yet engrossing steak eating contests at restaurant where if you eat this huge-ass porterhouse, like all of it, then you get your meal for free. And you're watching that, and you're slightly nauseous, but at the same time, you can't stop watching what's happening before you.
Jesus. Thanks for ruining steak for me.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've never sat through a steak eating contest, so I'm afraid I am not the best to come at that metaphor.
Well, you sat through the Snyder Cut, so that's as close as you're going to get.
That's true. So, I don't know, quick recap. We talked about the first maybe half of the movie. Everything from Superman's rah, 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 to Flash's slow-mo introduction and saving the nameless and voiceless maiden in distress.
And that's as well-rounded as that character gets.
Yeah. So, we're back. We're going to be talking more about it. Do we have any news? But I have some news, but I still want to save it because it's not time sensitive.
There you go, yeah.
What about you? Do you have anything?
Not in particular, no. I just feel like we need to, glove up and concentrate on the autopsy at hand.
Yeah. After action reports.
Exactly.
That's like a debrief of a disastrous mission. You lost your entire squad. I need a play-by-play of what happened.
Right.
Well, I logged into HBO Max and turned it on, and then it just kind of happened to me.
And I'm still very confused.
Yeah. So, we had talked about Cyborg's meaningless origin and backstory and shit. Well, another thing about Cyborg that bugged me is that even his voice was overmodulated.
It was, wasn't it?
And I don't think it really had any modulation in the Whedon cut.
I can't remember the Whedon cut as well as you can.
But it also seemed to come and go in this one. Maybe it fades as like him regaining his humanity or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think there's way more thought that got actually put into that.
You're being very generous there.
Yeah. But anyway, the modulation bugged me, and I guess I don't even know what else to say about Cyborg's story. But go back and listen to it. It's dumb.
It is. And something you said in our episode about the Doom Patrol pilot that absolutely holds true is that the prosthetics and makeup in Doom Patrol on Cyborg look more tangible and real than the cartoony body that Ray Fisher has in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, it looks weird. It looks like a silver Rubik's Cube that was like cut in half and spread out. Like it's just, and his legs look way too skinny. Like there's no weight to it, and it looks even more noticeable because of how off-putting his body is shaped.
Right.
If he was shaped like a regular human, I don't think it would look that bad.
Exactly. But no, he has that strange, like, broad chest like almost like he's drawn like a comic book. That broad chest that goes into those narrow hips, and it does look like just all a poorly rendered CGI torso.
And in the Whedon cut, it ends with him. That's another thing, is that his dad survives the Whedon cut instead of dying needlessly.
Right.
Just so he can make the box hot.
Yeah.
But anyway, in the Whedon cut, his dad survives, and it shows him and his dad, like, working on his body, and it, like, turns into, like, the superhero version. He has, like, a little logo, and he looks more human. I thought that was a cool way to end it, because it almost implies, like, oh, in the sequel, he's going to look normal. It's this weird, craggy outgrowth of bricks. I don't know. I don't even know what the fucking design was, but I didn't like it. So, yeah, we're done with Cyborg.
I have to bring
Unless
this...
you have something else Cyborg-related.
Not Cyborg-related, but I do want to talk about a scene with Lois Lane real quick. If you want to jump to that.
One of her, like, 2 scenes in the movie?
One of her 2 scenes. And another strange...
Is it the one where she's crying or the one where she's looking sad?
Both? No, but tell me if you noticed this. You know the part where she grabs her ID from the Daily Planet?
Are you going to talk about the pregnancy test? Like, everyone's brought up the pregnancy test. Yeah, exactly. So... everyone's like, oh, she's pregnant. She's got fucking Superman's baby and everything. I think that I don't think there's any meaning to that. I think it's a leftover from Snyder's original ending. Did you ever hear about this? His original plan for, like, the 3 movies?
Was that she was supposed to be pregnant.
Yeah, but with who?
With Clark's baby?
No. No, Batman was supposed to fall in love with her, knock her up, and then in the future, Lois Lane's son becomes Batman.
No!
Yeah. That was his original grand scheme. So, like, I was talking to my friend Bear about that, because he was like, what would have happened had this come out and Snyder got his 3 movies? Like, what would happen to the DC's film slate? And I was like, honestly, like, there would have been diminishing returns already, and there are now. People would care about each of these movies less. They'd make less money. Justice League probably would have made about the same amount. Only... now you can't do anything because he's got this fucking Mad Max future, and then you've started the franchise with an old Bruce Wayne, so there's nowhere to go with him. So you've got this Mad Max future with a cul-de-sac that ends with the characters that you like going away and being replaced by offspring.
But okay, but then why would he leave that scene in there where Batman and Wonder Woman have that, you know, awkward schoolyard flirtation where they both go to grab the mouse at the same time and they touch hands and they're both like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? And who knows when he was filming this if that was still the plan. I'm just saying that was originally his plan.
But did you see the name of the pregnancy test on the box?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Okay, get ready for this. The brand of pregnancy test is Force Majeure.
Nice.
I actually had to scrub it back 4 times to make sure I saw that right. I was like, no.
Oh,
So that's the thing. This movie is about as unsubtle as if it could come to life and like reach out and punch you in the face.
Jeez. Yeah. That's a level of subtlety. That's the Snyder subtlety, they call it.
Oh, boy. But yes.
So yeah, I mean, and Lois actually had more to do in the Whedon cut.
Which is another stupid, if you go back to our previous episode where all of a sudden Zack Snyder seems to be the feminist prototype for comic book movies, particularly women. That was another thing that people lambasted the Joss Whedon cut for, is that, oh, Lois is off writing fluff pieces at the Daily Planet, and
it's her fucking job! It's literally all she does in any Superman movie.
Well, exactly. It's like, okay, since when did Lois Lane become this amazing reporter? I have...
I mean, she is an amazing reporter, but the tension in all of these movies, every single Superman movie, is Lois being like, I want to write hard-hitting news. And then Perry being like, no, write this fucking story about lipstick. And her being like, fuck you, Chief. So, like, the point of this is showing that, or the point of that subplot in Whedon's is that, like, without Superman, she's going through this period of mourning, just being like, fuck it, I'll write whatever.
Right. Right. She's just trying to get along at work.
Which makes more sense than just laying in bed for half the movie.
And for some reason, people praise that. Like, oh, we get to see her mourning. It's like, okay. Is that in any way more emotionally deep and resonant than what we got in 2017?
Well, and you see her mourning. She's fucking sad about the death of her husband. Like, that's... Or maybe not even husband, whatever they were.
Fiancé,
but you see that mourning... but she's still a competent human being.
And the thing that the Snyder Cut does, and this will lead us into another branch off, that I think really cheapens that, it doesn't make it better, is Martha shows up to talk to her and console her and be like, you know what?
Get out there.
Yeah.
You're fucking right, magazine.
You need to keep living your life. And it's actually this very nice moment between Amy Adams and Diane Lane, only for it to be totally fucking undermined by the fact that Martha is not Martha. She is...
the Martian Manhunter.
Which plays a great, phenomenal, important, vital role in this movie. We could not have had this movie without him.
Of course not. You could have had him deliver that one line of, like, the world needs Lois Lane. Who's he talking to?
Right! And plus the whole idea, too, is like, dude, where were you when the world needed you to show up to help defeat Doomsday?
Well, it's such a weird fan pandering. Martian Manhunter was on the league, so we'll throw him in there for no reason. And, like, if you don't know who he is watching this, you're like, why did she just turn green and then turn into that guy in the last two movies and then walk away?
Right.
It was like, so was Martha always an alien? It's like, there's no connection. Like, he's just thrown into the narrative, and then he comes back at the end for the last 10 seconds, and that's it. And there's no reason for that scene to exist other than just be like, hey, we got Martian Manhunter in this bitch. What do you think about that? It's just so fucking dumb.
It is. It's like, and I'm a fan, but I don't care. It adds nothing to the film.
And that's the only scene between Lois and Martha.
Right.
So that scene has way more resonance in the Whedon cut when it's actually Ma Kent and Lois leaning on each other for support.
Exactly. It's not undermined by the fact that, hey, you didn't see this coming.
Yeah. It's like the actual character depth and development then being wiped away for a little bit of fan service.
Indeed.
Christ, that's annoying.
It's and I don't understand why people think it's so great and like, aha.
Yeah. So that's what we mentioned earlier about which one was better, this version or the theatrical cut. I'm like, I think they're about the same because you lose like. That is a big thing to me. Like a tiny scene of Martian Manhunter completely derailing any character growth between two major characters is a big fucking deal.
It is. And it takes away, because I know we're totally railing on this film, and we obviously it deserves it. But again, there's like these small moments of light. There is one part that I thought was absolutely better in the Snyder Cut after Lois shows up at the Superman monument. He sees her and, is taken aback from his
homicidal
rage at being resurrected, and takes her and flies back to the farm, to Smallville. The Whedon cut line is silly. It's like where they land on the ground and she goes, "Oh, you smell good." And he's like, what, I didn't before? And it's just, in my opinion, it's a silly little joke in the 2017 movie. Whereas this one, I liked it better where they land and he says something to her and she's like, and she says, "Oh, you spoke." Because she's so happy, like, oh my God, you're actually here in front of me. You're alive. But then that moment gets swept away very, very quickly.
I didn't like that because that also calls attention to the fact that Superman has maybe 5 lines in the entire movie. Like, oh, he finally spoke. It's 3.5 hours into the movie, and he spoke.
And here he is.
And hold on. We gotta stick to the schedule here. Because I was just about to launch into that whole scene and my issues with it. But, okay, Cyborg's voice is on. There's a whole subplot about Bruce trying to fix his plane.
Yes.
Why is that in there? It just eats up runtime. And there's like a montage of him and Alfred trying to get it running. Like, you're fucking Bruce Wayne, man. If it doesn't work, just build a new one.
Right.
Jesus Christ. No, we gotta have this really shitty looking whale shaped ship. That's gotta be the plane that we fly on. Can't be anything else.
Well, and it's another ego jerk to the character where he's like, oh, all the finest minds at Wayne Enterprises couldn't fix this, but I'm gonna. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and
okay.
again, like, what? None of that needs to be in there. If you need to have a scene of him tinkering, because there is a bit where he's working on it when Diana walks up in both versions.
Yes.
Like, yeah, he's changing the oil. Who the fuck cares? Like, why are we spending time on him building something new? That's dumb. Mm-hmm. You don't have to show Batman building his shit to know that he has cool shit.
Right.
Just have some tinkering. You know what? Whatever.
Indeed.
So that was weird. There's a line that was in the trailer that then was put back into this version of Cyborg when they're having the big Superman fight, and he jumps in the way of a car that's about to hit a cop, and then it blows up, and then he goes, "You should probably move." And like, I hate that line. It's just so weird and like, you should probably move. And it's so condescending. Like, you're a superhero, dude. Like, hey, you might want to move. Like, oh, there's a fight. Here, let me get you to safety, or let me help you, or no, just fucking move.
Get out of the way.
Not. Are you okay?
Right.
Do you need help? Can I be of some assistance, given as I am a superheroic being, and you're just a normal person, probably completely baffled by what you're seeing? You should probably move.
Well, that leads into another part in terms of like the superheroes' interactions with civilians. Like, Cyborg is condescending. Wonder Woman's saving of the children is schmaltzy and hokey in an R-rated film. The only part that, I mean, and you could say this is a very small thing, but the only part that felt human to me is the part, I think, where it's like a National Guardsman is lying on the ground and he's hurt, and Batman comes up and says, "Are you okay?"
Which is like, the optics of that looked really weird, because Batman has not shown the slightest concern for anyone in all of these movies, and then now he's like, let me kneel down next to you and get you up here, hero. And like, it felt very like weird and like like pseudo patriotic, you know, of like post 9/11, like, you know, the real heroes are the firefighters. So it's like Batman, like, let me get you up here, let me help you.
And then it looks like the actor who's playing the National Guardsman doesn't quite know what to do. Because he like hop one way, and then he turns around and he's like hop.
But then going back to, speaking of them not showing any concern for people, one of my favorite things in both of them was cut. There was a Whedon reshoot. When they were about to confront Steppenwolf for the first time, and Flash is like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never been in a fight before. What do I do? And Batman's like, just save one person. And that like reassurance of like, just save one person, and then you'll know what to do from there. Because it's like, it humanizes both of those characters in a way that isn't done at all in any version or in any other part in both versions of the movie. They're just like, just focus on saving one person, and then after that, save one more. And just keep going until you've saved everyone. And I really like that, because it showed that Flash isn't just a bumbling idiot, that he actually, like, the reason he's a bumbling idiot is because he doesn't know what he's doing, and he needs some guidance.
Right, he's a kid.
Yeah, and so Batman is guiding him, you know, save one person. But in this, he's, like, nobody cares that he's a bumbling idiot.
Exactly, and he just acts like he has done this before.
Yeah. And I think there's this weird butting heads of ideals in that superheroes, as specifically, I'm going to pick on the MCU for a minute. In the MCU, superheroes exist to save people. Mm-hmm. In these movies, superheroes exist to stop the bad guys.
Right. And
the difference, like, those sound like similar statements, but the difference is, in the MCU, they stop bad guys so they can save people. Mm-hmm. In this, they might save people if it means that they get to stop the bad guy.
That's very well put, actually.
If there isn't somebody immediately in front of them, like between them and the bad guy, then they don't give a shit. They'll destroy a city as long as it means stopping the bad guy.
Right.
And I think that's the difference of, like, just the Snyder's own personal objectivist philosophy being put into this. Mm-hmm. Is that, like, no, it's just all about fucking getting what you want. Mm-hmm. I want to stop the bad guys, so fuck everyone else. Whereas in the MCU, it's the whole greater good, you know, like, I just rewatched Age of Ultron a few months ago. And one of the things that always struck me about that movie is at the end, every conversation that the heroes have are all about what are we going to do to save these people. Like, the city is being lifted into the sky. How are we going to get... And there's one point where Black Widow is talking to Cap, and she says something like, you know, we've done what we could, but I don't think we're going to be able to get the rest of these people. And he goes, well, then we're not going home. You know, like, if they're dying, then we're dying. I mean, I think that's a really good example of the difference between, you know, like a real hero and then just this godlike beings that look down on us with, you know, disdain.
Or just, like, even apathy, like we just happen to be there.
Exactly, yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's total apathy. So anyway, that just came to me, the difference between those two schools of thoughts. And I think realistically, at the end of the day, that's why one succeeds and one doesn't. Because these characters were created as a way to see ourselves saved. They weren't, like, literally, the first superhero in comics predates the first supervillain. If it was all about fighting the bad guy, then the first Batman or the first Superman issue would be about Superman fighting a giant monster. It's not. You know what Superman's doing in the first issue? He's helping poor people who are being taken advantage of by their landlords. He's stopping human exploitation. Like, he's fighting faceless villains. Right. It wasn't until years later that they developed a rogues gallery of villains, and that's what's important.
Well, and that's an excellent point. Like, even the faceless villains, like, you can recall Superman comics from long ago, like, you know, in the 1940s, where even it's seemingly everyday stuff. Like, oh no, my supervision tells me that there is a truck with no brakes hurtling towards this, you know, group of school kids that's crossing the road. And so he goes and saves these kids. Whereas all of a sudden in these DCEU Snyder films, like you said, it becomes more about the fact that this is a god among people, and we're incidental to his godliness.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that to mean that I don't like supervillains or anything. Like, no, supervillains are fucking great. I love, I love Heath Ledger's Joker or fucking Jack Nicholson's Joker. Man, he's the tits.
He is.
Or like, really, any of the DC villains can be great if they're allowed to be. Just like the heroes. But the key is that the hero shouldn't be so hung up about killing the bad guy that he's willing to sacrifice regular people.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah. And again, I feel like that's Zack Snyder's thing, is that, like, yeah, just fucking kill everyone as long as we get to snap Zod's neck.
Because that says something about this character.
So then, back to the Superman Resurrection. That's another thing that I thought was going to be way different in this version. I assumed that the whole dropping the mother box into the water was an invention from Whedon, but no, that's how it goes in this. Only it's way longer.
Ooh, yeah.
And for some reason, Flash reverses time right before he does it. It's like he just run fast enough that things start to move backwards. Like, that's weird, and it's not explained.
Well, and that's another thing that I don't quite get either, and I think that if you're going to enjoy this, you shouldn't think that hard about it. Because, I've heard other people try to parse that out, and they say, oh, it's because he's affecting time when he runs that Victor has that premonition of what could happen. Except that happens before he starts running.
Yeah. And it also happens in the last movie.
Right.
Batman had his whole premonition and then saw Flash from the future. And, like, so if he can already time travel, then who the fuck cares? Like, why are they worried about the future? Because anytime something goes wrong, be like, Flash, go back in time real quick.
Yeah, go for a jog, dude.
And they do that. They bring that up in the Flash TV series quite often. Because there's been more than once where he's, fucked something up and then gone back in time and fixed it. And it's gotten to the point where they're like, dude, if you keep doing that, you're going to destroy the universe. Like, the fabric of the universe can't deal with all this time travel. Stop it. But it's just brought up in this and then kind of brushed away, except that it's going to be really important in the future. Maybe. But it's so frustrating.
Well, it's just again, this, these layers of unneeded exposition, or, oh, this is how we bring him back to life. It's like, well, no, just go with your original statement of the mother box. Mother boxes represent change. So we're going to use it to bring Superman back to life. Done.
Or just don't do it that way. The death of Superman in the comic, first of all, they shouldn't have rushed into the death of Superman story. That was fucking dumb.
Oh, it was.
The second movie, have him killed off and then brought back. And then too, like the way he's brought back in the comic is all about like the Kryptonian Matrix and the way it heals his cells and blah blah blah. Which another thing is everyone's jacking off Snyder about putting in the black suit, which we'll get into that. Just frustrating myself now. Anyway, so then when he comes back, he's not fully healed, and then he like gets his power back and all that. But the way they do it in this, like, so the mother box can just do whatever the plot needs it to at that moment.
Pretty much.
And then, so they used it to bring him back along with the water that made Doomsday or whatever. But then, so doesn't that mean that it's like, it's spent? They used it? But then it comes back, like then they need it again? I don't know. It's just, the whole idea of mother boxes in both of these movies doesn't make any sense. Like, what are they for? Who are they versus? And why are they useful? Because they basically can just do anything. But in the comics, the mother boxes are just supercomputers. They're living, intelligent computers.
Right.
And in this, they're whatever the plot says that they need to be on that whatever scene.
They are the three rings made for the races
exactly.
of dwarves, elves, and humans.
And in the darkness behind them. Which reminds me, so that flashback with Darkseid is just put over Steppenwolf from the flashback. I don't know if it was their intention to do this, but they make the villain of not even the villain of the movie, supposedly the villain of the entire universe, out to be like the biggest wussy bitch in the world.
Right?
He's literally like, I'm gonna take over the world. Oh god, don't! Stop it! Fucking Ares jumps up and hacks him in the neck with an axe and almost beheads him in one hit.
Right.
And then he has to be drugged off the field of battle. And like, so why do I care about this supervillain if literally he was almost destroyed by not the heroes of this movie? Supposedly the heroes of this movie are supposed to be as powerful as the gods or whatever. But no, he gets absolutely decimated. Just, you can't get more beat up than he got in this movie.
And then, of course, the arrogance of mortals and that, oh yes, Earth, the one place that Darkseid couldn't conquer. You know?
And then when they show that Darkseid tried to conquer it and it didn't, and then it's a surprise to Steppenwolf that that's the same planet.
Where the anti-life equation is.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, oh, I can't believe, whoa, no way. Like, I thought that's why Darkseid was trying to conquer it. I thought we all knew that. I thought that's why he did that. You know? Like,
exactly.
Can someone fill the all-powerful bad guy in on what we already all knew?
That no one is surprised by, except for him.
Yeah. It's never a good sign when the bad guy is behind the audience on finding out things.
Exactly.
Like, I went into the pre-production of this movie knowing that the anti-life equation was on Earth.
Even people who don't know what that is and have never read a single comic book, no one is like, oh my god!
Yeah. Like, oh, Darkseid's, like, you're telling somebody new, oh, so Darkseid's trying to find the anti-life equation. Oh, it's on Earth, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, hold on, I need to do some rewrites.
How did you know? Oh, dear.
So they bring the Superman back. Like everything in this movie, that fight goes on way too long. Too many meandering bits. I think overall it's better than the Whedon version of it, even though it's largely unchanged.
Right.
My biggest fucking issue with it is that Superman has zero dialogue in it.
Right.
He's just this mindless killing machine, which is, again, what Snyder wants for this character. And it feels so wrong. Like, why does he have to go bad? Why do you have to fucking fight him?
Right. Or at least give us, like, as ineffectual as it might be, or lame, at least give us a moment where, you know, he's confused, he's angry, like, there's visible distress.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. When he fucking comes back, the first people he sees are Aquaman. He's never met him before. Flash, doesn't know him at all. Wonder Woman, he has had maybe 5 minutes of a conversation with her right before he died. And Cyborg, again, who's this guy? And they're like, ooh, and she calls him Cal. She's like, Cal. I'm like, you don't know each other.
Right. And you would think it would make it, and it would give poor Amy Adams something to do besides sit there and look pretty and morose. But, you know, it would give it more weight if they had visited her beforehand and been like, hey, we have this crazy idea. and we need you because you're the only person who knows him.
Maybe someone who's known him more than 5 minutes should be in on this fucking plan.
Right?
And again, and even when Batman shows up, hey, guess what? The last time Superman was hanging out with Batman, they were trying to kill each other.
This is not a warm welcoming.
Yeah. So, like, no wonder he fucking lashed out. But I really liked the dialogue that he had in the Whedon cut. Like, when he picks up Batman, he's like, do you bleed? Like, I felt like that was a decent reversal of their roles. And the fact that, like, hey, I didn't forget that, idiot. And then when he has a line, too. He's like, you tried to kill me, now you won't let me die? Like, what do you want?
Right.
And I thought that was a really good scene, too. That, again, is just cut out because he can't have any lines.
Right. Well, and the conflict leading up to his resurrection too, which also for some reason people think is a great stride in Wonder Woman's character, that in this version she just automatically goes along with it.
Yeah.
At least in the Whedon version, like, someone actually brings up the fact, like, hey, this is morally sketchy at best.
Exactly.
But no, in this one, like, you get Aquaman. He's like, this is a bad idea. This is crazy.
Bro! It's a bad idea, bro.
Pretty much.
My shirt's still on. What's going on? Pop this shirt off.
Which he does in the Snyder Cut.
Which, also going back to Aquaman for a second, when they introduce him, Mara's got a different accent in this for some reason.
Yeah.
She's British now. But the whole thing, like, when this first came out, they were like, oh, they gotta have the air bubbles so they can talk. And then the director of Aquaman was like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's dumb. This whole 90% of this movie is going to be underwater. We can't constantly be stopping to make air bubbles so they can talk.
Right.
And so in this, when they're talking underwater, they're doing, like, dolphin clicks and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's, again, this is a whole thing about, like, it's more real, air quotes, versus just letting the suspension of disbelief take over. Like, yeah, that may be more real, but it's also fucking ridiculous. And if you're trying to spin off franchises into these characters, specifically Aquaman, like, you can't have that.
Right.
that's untenable. That's not doable in a 2-hour Aquaman movie. For this, yeah, it may work for a scene or two. But for something like that, like, and if you're not going to be looking that far in the future, then you shouldn't be working on a franchise.
Right, exactly. Making those kind of points, and I say that with air quotes around it, it's bad faith criticism. And I've done that before too. I'm not immune to it. But again, it's the idea that, like, these little things like, oh, well, how do they talk underwater? And well, if it's, they do this thing, like this small, unconsequential thing, then that totally, destroys the sense of reality. No, it doesn't, you guys. We're watching a movie about super beings who can see through walls and, billionaires who actually want to help poor people.
Billionaires who build gauntlets that get more of a storyline than Superman does.
No kidding. And like, when you said, oh, how does my gauntlet work? I was like, well, you know what? It worked a lot better in Avengers.
Exactly. Well, there's that scene where Alfred's like, I've got this weapon from the fucking Kryptonians. I'm going to shoot it at this and see if it makes it work so that it reflects lasers. Oh, it looked like it worked. And then in the scene where Batman's fighting, it's like, pew! And he goes, Alfred, it worked. It reflected the laser. Like, really? Oh, is that what that did? Thanks.
Right. And I think that the only reason those are there is so that we can get shots of Superman trying to melt Batman.
Well, great. You don't need that. You don't need to show him building it, though.
Right. No, you don't.
He's fucking Batman.
Exactly.
How many scenes in the 1989 Batman do you see of him working on his gear or his car or anything?
Right. Exactly.
Zero. Because it doesn't matter. He's fucking Batman. Just show Superman zapping it off and then it falling apart, like that shows the power that he has. It's just a really weird cul-de-sac of story,
A cul-de-sac of story. I hope they put that on the poster.
So, yeah, Superman comes back, then Cyborg's dad needlessly kills himself.
Oh, man.
Which, like, he superheats the thing and then so they can track, like, who cares, dude? It's an alien technology. Surely you can track that.
Right?
Especially since Cyborg's team spent the last however many months studying it, or years. He said they found it in World War II, I think.
Yes.
So, like, yeah, they've had that for a while. They know how to track it.
Exactly. Again, another one of those little things that, oh, this is how they do it. It's like, well, no one cares how they do that.
Yeah. You don't need any of that. It's just fucking pointless. Oh yeah, so the scene where Superman gets his black suit.
Oh yes.
Which has zero weight in this story. He's just Zack Snyder likes the color black, so he puts him in a black suit. So that deleted scene is actually on the Whedon cut DVD. Like you can see that deleted scene where he walks in the hallway and sees the different suits. The only thing they did is they color swapped it. So in the original version, he walks in and he sees the black suit and he turns away from it and he takes his regular blue and red suit. But in this version, he sees the blue and red suit, and he's like, oh, I'm going to wear the black suit instead. Which, the hilarious thing, like the film editor, when that came out, he was talking about that deleted scene. And he's like, yeah, we had the black suit, but only for the scene where he rejects it. And he said, to me, it was almost like the ship was presenting him a choice. Here's this black suit symbolizing, hate and anger and darkness. And Superman turns his back on it, rejecting it, and taking the blue and red suit that means like inspiration and hope. And so like hear him discuss that years ago and then have Snyder come back and be like, no, fuck that, put him in black.
Don't you know that this is a serious movie?
Yeah, because that was all already filmed with him in the red suit. Like, there is no black suit. They CGI'd that over.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Because Snyder always wanted the black suit, but they didn't put it. So again, in the comic, the black suit has a purpose.
Yes.
It's after he dies, he wears this solar suit to absorb energy so he can regain his power because he's weak.
Right.
And in this, it's literally just I just want a different color.
It represents his inner darkness.
Yeah. I'm Superman. I'm fucking like sad all the time. That's how Superman is.
Yeah. Again, it's quantity over quality, and his style over substance.
Then we get to the final battle. They all go and fucking fight Steppenwolf and his fellas. The final battle almost won me over. It was edited better than the Whedon version. It's just way too long.
Yes.
Way too long. And you actually see them fighting guys. There was also still plenty of issues with it. Like the Flash spends a good chunk of it just running in circles.
What was that about?
He's supposed to build up speed, I guess.
Yeah.
For when they go back in time. The whole time travel thing really annoys me. They're like going back in time for a few seconds. It's just, it feels weird and dumb, and Galaxy Quest did it better.
That's valid.
And then, so when Superman shows up and starts beating up, Steppenwolf, he just fucking, like, shears off one of his horns with his lasers, and, like, it's like there's no more tension anymore. He's like, whack, 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 you're fucked up, like, you're dead. Like, this is the end. Like, when there's that big of a disparity between one hero and the villain, then why is there a team here?
Exactly. Well, I think that's what both versions failed to do, 2017 and this one. And that brings up a much, again, the reiteration of the point that the DCEU doesn't know what it's doing with these movies and has not established these characters as something that we should care about or that feels vital. It's like, well, why do you need Superman?
Well, you do need Superman. He's the only one you need.
Apparently so.
You don't need any of the others. You don't need the League.
Yeah, you don't need the demigod. You don't need, like, the billionaire's resources. You don't need, like, the ocean king, or the kid that can time travel. It's like, it's this whole emphasis on this one guy, but yet when he, like you said, when he shows up, there's so little to distinguish him from the bad guy that emotional impact that we should feel like, oh my God, Superman's back.
It's like, oh God, who's he going to kill this time?
Exactly.
Although at least the killing blow goes to somebody else, with Wonder Woman just heartlessly hacking his head off. He's already defeated. Jesus. It's just so needlessly violent.
I was reading online, like, someone brought that up as a positive point. Like, oh, look at Wonder Woman, like, she lands the killing blow. It's like, hurrah?
Being a good female character or being an interesting female character doesn't mean making them violent.
Right.
Or needlessly bloodthirsty or whatever. That's a train of thought that just equates masculine with violence and masculinity with normality. So if a female character is going to be, quote, good, she has to be, quote, masculine.
Exactly. And you know what? If you're going to go that direction, fine. But, like, go that direction. Again, like we mentioned in the previous episode, don't stop this character for her to give, like, a cheerleader speech to little girls.
And it's the like, well, it's Wonder Woman, you gotta have at least one scene of her being nice. And it's the male version of what it means to be a strong female character.
Yeah, which, I'm sorry, you guys, is not as revolutionary as the internet seems to think it is all of a sudden.
And what makes Wonder Woman strong should be her femininity. It shouldn't be her rejection of it.
Exactly. And again, to further stress the point that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, it's an obvious disparity in how Patty Jenkins sees that character and how Zack Snyder sees that character. And so, like the little girl cheerleading routine, that belonged in Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and for all the stupid fucking goofiness of 84, at least I didn't feel like they were trying to force the character to be something she's not.
Right.
Like, she felt like Wonder Woman in that movie.
She did.
You know? As goofy and dumb and weird as that fucking movie was, and as date rapey as her relationship was.
The tone is the same. The tone is consistent throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then after they just gang fuck the bad guy and hack him to pieces. After that, then we're treated to the wrap-up scene that feels like it takes like 15 minutes of just, again, listening to Cyborg's dad drone on about power and responsibility. And Cyborg's big heroic moment is standing over his parents' grave and taking his clothes off.
Right. Feeling good.
Yeah. Ah! Which is like, that's supposed to be him. I've learned to accept who I am. Which I feel, again, like that was done better in the Whedon version, where he turns into like the more comic book accurate looking Cyborg. Which is a more interesting look and everything, but whatever. And then you get that 8 seconds of Batman standing on atop the giant bat tank from Dark Knight Returns, which was in all the fucking trailers for this. You get fanboys all get their little fucking micro penises all hard, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna see some Frank Miller Batman stuff." And like, hey, in the last 10 minutes of the movie for about 8 seconds.
Yep. Hope you liked it, guys.
Exactly.
Hope it was worth it.
Hope that was enough to get you there.
Exactly. Oh, ay.
And then Superman opening his shirt to reveal the black suit underneath again. Like, you're not getting it, dude. That's not what he should be wearing.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it, like you said, like for the fans, as a fan, and you know what the black suit is, like you said, you're like, that makes no sense within the context. For the average person who knows who Superman is but doesn't read the comics, they're like, what?
It's the Martian Manhunter scene.
Right.
It's exactly the same. This is a reference to the comic books, and I just threw it in because it was a reference. And, well, how does it affect the movie surrounding it? You know?
There's a concept.
Yeah. References and Easter eggs and shit are great as long as it doesn't bring the movie to a grinding halt.
Yes.
One of my favorite comic book Easter eggs of all time is in the first Captain America movie, the first Avenger, when they're at the Stark Expo. And the camera's panning over the Stark Expo, and there's this tube with like a mannequin in it, and it says Phineas Horton's Synthetic Man. I'm like, oh, it's a reference to the Human Torch.
Yeah.
And if you get it, you get it. If not, it's just a piece of the fucking expo, you know?
That works.
And that's how you do a reference.
Yes. Oh, dear. Well, since we're coming to the end of the film here, that's something that I heard a critic, I wish I could remember his name, from Cinema Blender. I heard him say, "Oh, I like the endings in this so much better, like because it wrapped up so many loose ends for these characters that you didn't get in the 2017 version, and like it's not like the Lord of the Rings ending where it ends like 15 times. I hate that." Sir, whoever you are, I respectfully disagree.
I disrespectfully disagree. That's just dumb. That's a dumb reading. If you see the ending of this movie and think that's a nice concise ending, no, it's not.
No. And the endings to nerd out on the Lord of the Rings, all of the endings to the Lord of the Rings make sense.
I mean, yeah, they make sense. It goes on way too long. I get the point he's trying to make, but he's categorically false.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, yeah, the end of Lord of the Rings takes 20 minutes to wrap up. Like, well, so does this, man. It's the same fucking thing. You get the wrap up, and then it keeps going.
But again, like all of the wrap ups in Lord of the Rings, even if you think it goes on for too long, it connects to the characters.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. And yeah, your point is that the Lord of the Rings takes too long to end, but at least each of those is saying something.
Yes.
And it's not in this. The movie ends, and then there's a scene of Lex and Deathstroke, and then that ends, and then there's a scene of the future. And then that ends. And then there's a scene of Bruce Wayne talking to Martian Manhunter. And, like, none of those... Yeah, I don't know. Those are, like, post-credit scenes that were just slapped at the end or whatever.
Right.
But done really inelegantly, which is everything about this movie. But that nightmare sequence, again, Flash to the Future, disconnected to anything. The way it's edited is so poor that it's not like it says, 20 years later or there's, like, not a scene of Bruce falling asleep or whatever. It's just... Deathstroke saying, like, oh, I'm going to go kill Batman now. And then, boom, the future. And then Deathstroke's there with him. And again, if you don't know these characters and you don't know the stupid lore that exists in Zack Snyder's head, then you're just like, what?
Speaking of which, shall we talk about the Joker?
Yeah, it's dumb. It's just like this. It's a dumb inclusion that's there to wank off fanboys that doesn't mean anything. And the relationship between Joker and Batman in this is completely unearned.
Right.
Like, you've never seen them on screen together. They're both in Suicide Squad, but they don't talk. They don't connect to each other. And Batman, fucking Harley died, and she said that she wants me to kill you, and I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, shut up. Like, I get it. You're really edgy, man. You totally earn that Hot Topic outfit you're wearing. Like, I get it. It's still fucking dumb.
Well, and I'm sorry, but not sorry. The idea that, first of all, the idea that Joker needs to be in this movie at all is just ridiculous. But Jared Leto can't help but play Jared Leto in everything he's in. Yeah, exactly. Like, I went back and watched Dallas Buyers Club again after you and I talked about, like, you were saying, well, it's just Jared Leto in a dress. Yeah. And I watched it again, and I was like, oh, shit, he's right.
Ruined that illusion.
Yeah, it did. It totally did. And, I like a few 30 Seconds to Mars songs, but Jared Leto he's not a good Joker. Yeah. He's not a good Joker.
All right, man, I've been saying that since 2016, so preaching to the choir.
Exactly. Well, and I guess it just... I don't understand why people get so excited for this. Like, I understand wanting these movies to be good because, again, I love Wonder Woman. I love Superman. I love the Joker. These characters have such a rich history and they deserve good stories. But just because we're so desperate to see them in good stories does not mean that what is given to us is good.
Again, go fucking watch Young Justice. If you want like a perfect version of all of these characters, go watch Young Justice. It's a great show. It really adapts everything about the DC universe brilliantly.
Right. And it's not that, well, hell, I don't know. I could go on and on. But
so then the last scene of the movie, and we get Ben Affleck. That's not Batman. That's fucking Ben Affleck. He looks like a completely different person at the end of this movie because it was just filmed in October. That scene.
Right.
So he wanders out of bed and he's clearly speaking to no one. He's like, "Oh, well, who are you?" And then, like, Martian Manhunter has a line. And he's like, "Well, what does that mean?" And then Martian Manhunter has another line. And, well, okay. And it's like there's like a million things that could have been written for Martian Manhunter to just jabber back to him. Like, I knew Superman's dad, or whatever he says. Like, wait, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Jor-El? Or are you talking about Pa Kent?
Right.
And like, I used to hide, but now I'm going to be out there helping you guys because bad things are coming. Like, yeah, and he keeps having the visions. You don't need to tell him. And
again, on that note, it's like, okay, where the fuck were you when Doomsday was ripping stuff up?
Exactly. Yeah, this isn't the first rodeo that this Earth has dealt with. So,
right.
Thanks for nothing, asshole.
Exactly.
And then the movie transitions into another soulful rendition of Hallelujah. Because Zack Snyder just loves that.
Leave Leonard Cohen alone.
The singer that sings it in this version, she's in Man of Steel.
Is she?
Yeah, she's like she has a cameo as like a singer in the bar.
Huh. Okay.
So apparently Zack Snyder's a big fan of hers.
Apparently so. Well, make that Snyder money, girl. Yeah. Get it.
So yeah, we fucking got through it. Now we got to do some comments. Yes. I promised. So I reached out to the world and asked what people's thoughts are of this movie. Last time I mentioned Dee talking about the Wonder Woman chant. She said, "It's a lot of movie. I feel like it explains more, but there's still a lot of fat that could have been cut." Yeah, dude, there's like 2 hours of fat. Wonder Woman's screaming chant song is annoying.
It is.
So this is my favorite too. These are two people back to back. Just with like a couple minutes apart from each other. Paul says, "Incredible." Then Wes says, "Garbage."
Very two opposing views.
Which is literally what the internet's been saying about this movie. There's the very vocal fanboy contingent saying, "It's the best thing ever." And then other people are like, "That's fucking terrible." Some asshole named Sophia said, "I had to watch it in intervals because I can only take so much unintentional comedy."
She is such a snob. She really is.
Jeff says, "I thought there were some good additions, mainly around Steppenwolf, but there were some head-scratcher decisions as well. I don't regret watching it, but I'm not going to watch it again." Which, yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I think last time, this isn't a movie. Like, this is an event. Right. Nobody in their right mind is ever going to revisit this.
Why would you?
It's like, I remember the day that came out, I fucking powered through it, and the end. Just like that, that time I went on that 4-hour trek through the Himalayas. Like, never doing that again, but damn it, I survived. I came back changed.
What a story.
Yeah. Craig says it was better than the theatrical release, but that's not saying much. I don't understand all the praise I keep seeing for it. Mostly it just felt self-indulgent. Which, amen. It absolutely felt self-indulgent.
Well said, Craig.
Nick, who has commented before, said, "If I like it, does that make me a fanboy? And if I hate, does it make me a toxic fan?" Which I didn't realize that was like a joke at first, so I wrote out like this really long, stupid response. Completely flying over my head. Burr Martin, alias Selfie Dad, he's an actual celebrity, commented saying, "I really liked it. I won't say love because, well, it's another doom and gloom DC movie, but it's heads above Whedon's cut, which I won't fully blame since the studio had a hand." Yeah, again, that's not... We always talk about it being Whedon's cut. It's really not. It's the fucking studio's cut that they grabbed some guy 3 or 4 months before its release and was like, "Fucking do this. Cut it."
Right, exactly.
By the end, it really felt like they deserved the journey to the end as opposed to the first version where it felt so rushed. I have to disagree with you there. Tiny touches with Cyborg and Flash really helped. Again, disagree. The only thing Whedon's version had that I liked more was the Superman theme and the red-blue suit with Supes at the end. Yeah, I didn't like the black suit. Travis says, outside of a 4-hour tour that dragged, there were some improvements over the Whedon version. Mostly Wonder Woman doesn't have meaningless self-doubt. Disagree. Steppenwolf doesn't have mother issues, but again, like, that's what the mother boxes are called.
Right.
I don't understand in either version really what his motivation is. I just want to go home. Like, that's dumb. Okay, whatever.
We all want to go home from work, dude.
And in this part, he says, no story-diverting Russian family that should have died the second they were discovered, among other changes. It was a polished turd, but could have. It was as polished as a turd could have been. So he was talking about the Russian family that was in the original version.
I remember that, yeah.
And he was like, and then Burr says, "Ooh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I was glad the family weren't there." And I responded, was like, honestly, I didn't mind the family. They weren't elegantly integrated into the narrative, but honestly, that's something I could say for about half of everything in both cuts.
Indeed.
And here's my big thing, is it was nice to actually see the League save someone. And I said, half of this team are mass murderers. And that's not a joke or an overstating. Like, half of this team are mass murderers, so any opportunity to have them save a life or two is sorely needed.
There you go.
So yeah, throw the family in. Holly says, I'm still trying to process all of my emotions. We'll come back later. Super helpful.
Thanks, Ollie.
Which, agreed, super helpful. Yeah, thanks. JR put a bunch. Bloated as a Dunkin'. Affleck is totally bloated on Dunkin' Donuts and doesn't look like he looks in the rest of the movie. That was from the Whedons. Martian Manhunter is totally shoehorned in. There's no need for him to be there. Agreed. Pacing in the second half was a nightmare. I would even go back to the first half.
No.
Everything that comes up after the hero lineup, the one that should have ended the movie. Like when you see everyone, that's complete garbage. It says, I find Leto's Joker insulting, and even though it's a dream sequence, this Batman did not earn what he said to the Joker. We just haven't had enough time on screen, we haven't had enough time and on-screen history with them for that F-bomb to be meaningful.
Indeed.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
The plot is just kind of soulless, shallow mess. The characters are serviced a little more. Cyborg actually has something to do. Again, go back to what we said last episode. Yeah, he has more to do, but that doesn't mean it's anything good.
Exactly.
Big waste of time and money overall. Yep.
Agreed.
And that's the last word.
Well, if I may, I've got a couple comments here that I told people I would read. My friend Jess said, hated it, and yes, that Wonder Woman scene with the little girl was performative wokeness at its finest. I enjoyed the final 20-minute post-apocalyptic scene, but other than that, just ridiculously overwrought, self-indulgent, and dull. Rusty said, I believe the movie could have been shorter and was thrown by what seemed to be 4 different endings, but I really did enjoy his take on the characters for the most part, besides Batman going off of faith instead of knowledge, which seems out of character for him. That's again tenuous at best. And Jennifer said, last but not least, I liked the movie. I accepted that it was so long because it was allowed to be. If he had been the one to finish the theatrical version, it would have been 4 hours. I enjoyed the extra look at the characters as well, and enjoyed the final fight much better than the one from the theater.
Well, a lot of people keep saying, he should be allowed to finish it, and blah, 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 and this is his vision. But again, we've had 2 movies of his vision already. I didn't like either of those.
Yeah, exactly.
So who gives a shit about his vision when Law of Diminishing Returns shows that largely audiences don't care about his vision either?
Well, my friend Daniel said this, and I love you, Daniel, but I disagree. He doesn't like Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman or Justice League for that matter, but his take was that anytime a creative gets to see their vision through, it's a win for everybody. And all I have to say is, again, Daniel, you are so much more a generous and kind person than I am, because we could do a whole nother podcast on movies throughout Hollywood history where the creators, the screenwriters, the director have suffered some horrible tragedy that prevented them from overseeing what they wanted to bring to the screen. And the only thing I think that has caused this to resonate so much is, again, the internet and social media and how much fans can be involved in that process now as opposed to, 20, 50 years ago.
Well, and when you say a creative's vision, you're talking about the director.
Yes.
Because when you say a creative, well, which creative?
Yeah.
This is a fucking franchise that's owned by a giant corporation that's an adaptation of characters that have been around for 80 years. So who the fuck cares about one person's view on all that?
Right.
And especially, like I've said before, when filmmaking is such a collaborative process. Mm-hmm. Because the director's name comes last in the directed by, we always put so much importance on their vision, but that vision doesn't mean shit if they don't have the people to help them see it through. And again, when you've got one person who's never told no, it's not going to be a good vision.
Exactly.
And we've already seen, we've seen this fucking creative vision 2 times before. I know how it's going to end.
Right.
It's not going to be something that's true to these characters.
Right, exactly.
And WB clearly saw that, which is why there was all the behind-the-scenes drama and changing and all that shit. And
go ahead, pardon me.
I was just going to say, it was them trying desperately to try to rein in this vision and to try to get something salvageable out of it.
Right, exactly.
Now they're to the point where they don't fucking care. They can't salvage it.
Whatever.
Yeah, the horse is dead. Beat the shit out of it. I don't care.
Right? Take its bones home and mount them on your wall. And this keeps getting said, but guys, it keeps getting said for a reason, is that this is not about, we love the Marvel characters are inherently better than the DC characters. It's like, subjectively, the Marvel universe has done a better job of telling their stories because they have that person who holds the overall idea together. Whereas, I'm sorry, like, you can say that this is Snyder's creative vision. At the end of the day, it still feels like it's trying to play desperate catch-up with the Marvel universe.
Oh, exactly. And that's the reason any studio wants to build a fucking interconnected universe. It's because Marvel did it good. We want that sweet-ass residual money. Like, well, you can't rush that, and you can't do that without putting in the time and effort that they did. And that's, the end.
Yeah, amen.
So, yeah, big Verta stat for me.
Yeah, do not proceed to go. Do not collect $200.
I could watch Jonah Hex almost 4 times in the amount of time it took to watch Justice League.
God, and why would you do that to yourself?
I'm just saying, because that was the only other Vertigo stop we've done.
That's true.
And, I would gladly watch Jonah Hex again before sitting through this.
At least you could see John...
at least twice. I'd watch Jonah Hex at least twice in a row.
Agreed. We could make more jokes about John Malkovich playing with his glowing orange balls.
Yes. Glorious, gorgeous, shimmering orange balls. Go back and listen to that episode.
Good times.
So, okay. Verta stop for you too? Or what's your consensus?
I had so much fun with this movie. I really don't understand why.
Quick pace, breezy, fun atmosphere.
You feel such a connection to these characters. Like,
I didn't even notice that Superman had less dialogue than he did in the last movie.
No kidding. Yeah, obvious Verta stop for me. Like, again, like I said in the prior episode, I am not a professional critic. And I actually have a lot of respect for professional critics because like I said, I watched this movie in intervals. I had to. Professional critics, they don't get that option. Yeah. Like, when they sit down to a bad movie, they're in it for the long haul. So to those brave men and women, I salute you. But no, this is not something I will be returning to with eagerness or fondness.
Not even now that there's less color in it?
Yeah, gotta check out the black and white version.
Yeah. So yeah, I promise we'll get back to good stuff next time. I can only bitch about something so much.
We hope you enjoyed this rant.
So like and subscribe. Please follow us on social media. Twitter at Vertigo Voices or Instagram Vertigo Voices. Email vertigovoices@gmail.com. I actually had a comment that I was going to read. I'll do it at the front next time. Okay. It was somebody commented on the show, and they reiterated my killer joke from the Wolf Among Us episode.
Which one? There are so many.
The best one. Well, I'll do it next time. Anyway, we'll read the comment next time. Okay, so that was it. We hold on. Wait, I'm just gonna fade off to sleep here for a second. Whoa! What's this crazy orange tinted world I'm in? What? Oh my God! See, the Flash has to go back in time and tell me not to do this stupid fucking podcast.
So much now hangs in the balance.
Oh no, I'm stuck in the nightmare world forever. Will Colby ever make it back? Dun dun dun.
Like and subscribe or we'll fucking kill you.